The very first dive lights that we had were really normal flashlights that we had in the 50s and the 60s that were modified. 3D cells and a simple little bulb. I'm not going to turn it on for you either, but a simple little bulb. And this rubber covering, you see, made it almost completely waterproof. You had to disassemble it after every dive because some water would leak in. We didn't have good O-rings back in those days. So this has an aluminum body, and the head unscrews. You can take that out and pull out the reflector. And you just screw the head down to turn it on, and you screw it off to turn it off, and off you went. This is a one-piece aluminum light. It's all aluminum, quite heavy. And inside it has batteries, again, those big 6-volt batteries, a switch on the outside. Now this switch was neat because one of the problems with a lot of these lights was the switch. The switch, of course, meant there was a hole through the housing, and sometimes the switch would leak and your light would be ruined. This has a switch on here, slides back and forth, you see, but there's no hole through the housing. It's a magnetic switch. In the 70s and the 80s and into the 90s, and it's very simple. Case, 2 or 3 batteries, an O-ring. You put the batteries in, put the bulb on top, and then you screwed this plastic cover on top. And the plastic cover, you can see there, goes over the O-ring and it seals it pretty well. And to turn it off and on, well, there's no buttons on it. How do you do that? Well, actually, it's spring loaded. It's pretty neat. You just turn this head down and finally the spring contacts the batteries and the light's on. Just that easy. Away you go. Not very bright. There was a gentleman by the name of Ike. His first name was Ike. And he actually invented one of the first lights. It was so popular, everybody bought it. It was a great light. It was relatively inexpensive, about $20. And you can see what it was. It's just the simplest thing in the world. Steel beam. There's that steel beam from a tractor. And an O-ring, and you put the battery in. Again, one of those 6-volt square batteries. They were cheap back then, $1.95. So they weren't good for one dive, but you could replace it easily. Put a new battery in, put the light on top of the battery with the O-ring, and screw the front on. And this orange color was characteristic of all Ike lights. Had a little switch on the bottom with a waterproof cover, and this was Ike's light. It's European, and they had a big heavy chrome head on it, and 2 rows of batteries, and big turn knob on there to turn it off and on, quite heavy. You can see it has a big top on it. The top is held down with 4 screws, and there's an O-ring in there. Actually, it's just a rubber gasket, not really an O-ring per se. Again, it had 2 6-volt batteries in here, the big square ones, and on the front, guess what? A sealed beam. So things kept getting bigger and sometimes better. So this is the next version of what they call their super light, and it just had a whole lot of batteries. I think there's about 12 batteries in here, but again, it has a sealed beam bulb in there. So the amount of light coming out didn't really improve for a long, long time. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that, folks, and we'll talk to you real soon. Alec Peirce, Vintage Scuba.